Hi, I'm Brianna.
And I'm Akira.
And you're watching
Dante's Boxing Nation.
The following program may contain language of an adult nature. Listener discretion is advised.
Brothers and sisters! Brothers and sisters! I don't know what this world is coming to.
Hey yo, check this out, this is Flavor Flav, and if you want the whole truth, and nothing but the whole truth, so help the whole truth. Hey yo, you better listen to Dante, baby. Dante!
What's going on, guys, and welcome to another great edition of the Dante's Boxing Nation Show. I am your host, Dante. Let me go ahead and introduce my panel. As always, I got my man, Boxing Ego, my man, Eric Morales. Check out his YouTube channel, Counterpunch. And I also got my man in the studio right here. What's going on, George?
Mixing it up differently today.
I see. Yeah, you see, we're doing a little different stuff, you know, trying to bring the technology into the game. So anyway, I want to, as always, say thank you guys for supporting the radio show. I know every time, we don't put that show up, you guys are constantly sending messages like, man, where's the show at? I need to see the show. So I really appreciate the love, man. And once again, man, you guys can always show your love by going to my website, nationboxing.com. You could buy some shirts to show your love, or you could just go ahead and donate to all of us, okay? For everyone who already has donated, I really do appreciate it, because this is, once again, our full-time job. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get into the news, man, with that all out the way, man. So let's go ahead and start with Golovkin, man. Golovkin is fighting against Dominic Wade. You know, a lot of people didn't know that Dominic Wade is an Al Haymon fighter. A lot of people didn't know that. So he's an Al Haymon fighter, and the reason why I bring that up is because you hear what people say, you know, the ridiculous rumors. Al Haymon doesn't want to work with anyone else, and he's going to protect his fighters, and blah, blah this and blah, blah that. Just, you know, always being the cancer in the sport. So, Eric Morales, I want to start with you on this one, man. I mean, what does this say about Al Haymon, the fact that he's putting his fighter in there with Gennady Golovkin, knowing that his fighter is definitely going to be the underdog?
I mean, it says there's a lot. It says I think I read somewhere that they had actually been trying to get fights with different promoters, or at least Al Haymon has. So it says a lot for his brand that he's at least sending out an olive branch to these other guys. I know it's a B-level fighter according to our standards. I know he's a great boxer in his own right, and I don't mean to diminish him in any way. I mean, in Dominic Wade when I say this. But he's one of the lower tier fighters on Al Haymon stable. It's real great to see him get his due, his business, get to make a lot of money on HBO on the, what is that, April 23rd. So that's going to be excellent. There is one question I have. Is this also because of the financial rumors or the financial troubles that PBC has been running in? Are they now having to branch off to other promoters rather than doing all business in-house? So there's a lot of questions here. Will it lead up to a Daniel Jacobs fight? We know that Daniel Jacobs and Dominic Wade facing the amateurs. Is this like a measuring tool to see where Jacobs will stand? So there's a lot of definite questions, but at the same time, a lot of positive feelings on this. It's a real good matchup. A real good fight. I'm real happy that they were able to get to this agreement.
And, you know, and my thing on that, Eric, is I wouldn't say that there's any problems. I truly believe that, is, you know, when Al Haymon is paying his fighters $1 million each, even, you know, the guys that are, you know, on the B side, they're getting paid $1 million. They're getting paid. His B side fighters are getting paid better than top ranks A side fighters. So, I don't believe that there's rumors, and we can't automatically assume because Al Haymon is doing the right thing, then it must be something bad. You know, we gotta assume that, you know, that they want to work together. I mean, I talked to Golden Boy Matchmaker.
Step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Step in the right direction without a doubt.
Yeah, because, I mean, I talked to Golden Boy Matchmaker, Eric Gomez, and he told me that even though Golden Boy has a lawsuit against Al Haymon, he told me that they're willing to work with Al Haymon. Eddie Hearn said that he wants to work with Al Haymon. Only person who said he didn't want to work with Al Haymon was Bob Arum. So, I mean, boxing.
No, that's true. As far as I know, and we know that the rumored bout between Charles Martin and Anthony Joshua is part of that Eddie Hearn love to fight Al Haymon fighter. So there's definitely a lot of promoters Al Haymon can go to. Will he now put his A-side fighters in these fights? So far, Gary Russell, I think, is the only one who's cross-promoted fought. So it's going to be real interesting to see if a Danny Jacobs, if a Peter Quillen, if any of these other varieties, Keith Thurman, or any of these other guys end up fighting, let's say a Bud Crawford in Keith Thurman's case. So I would love to see it, and I would love it to branch up to the higher tier fighters as well.
Box Amigo, with Eric Morales just saying that, do you think that Al Heyman is protecting fighters like Danny Jacobs from possibly fighting Golovkin, or do you think it's Danny Jacobs' personal thing, or what do you think?
I mean, I hear all the same rhetoric in the comment section about fans saying Al Heyman's doing this. First, they said Al Heyman was blocking fights. It's clear that he seems willing to work with other people because he's putting two of his fighters, despite if they're low on the totem pole or high, especially in Amir Khan. Amir Khan's fighting Canelo, who's big as hell. They're fighting at Canelo weight at 155. Everything about the weight benefits Canelo more than Khan, who has never fought over 147 and only has 3 fights at 147. Then you got a lower tier guy like Dominique Wade, who's going in, and most people are expecting him to get pulverized because he doesn't have the big fight experience. And Triple G has a lot of amateur experience and better names on his resume as a pro. So I mean, I don't understand the whole blockage, and it just hasn't shown me that, because even if you look at let's say Adrian Broner, they put him, it was a catch weight, but they put him in there with Sean Porter, who's in your chest and has fought at 165. He actually fought and got knocked down by Dominic Wade in the amateurs. That's Sean Porter and Dominic Wade. So Sean Porter fought at 165 when he fought Dominic Wade in the amateurs. And Broner is clearly not a low-tier, low-totem pole star. He's a big star in Al Heyman's stable, one of the biggest. Same thing with Amir Khan. And you've seen what happened in the Broner fight. He didn't win it. So, you know what I mean? I don't understand this whole, everyone has this rhetoric that Al Heyman's protecting, his cash cow, so to speak. Broner is a bigger cash cow than Danny Jacobs, and he just fought Porter, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not understanding, you know what I'm saying? Because Dominic Wade's a low-tier fighter in terms of popularity, but then Broner and Khan aren't, and they're both in fights that were hard, and they either lost them, like Maidana. Broner fought Maidana his second fight at welterweight. He fought Paulie Malignaggi, arguably
excellent
the
point.
lightest puncher out of the big names. Next fight, he fought one of the top 3 punchers at welterweight at the time, Marcos Maidana. So again, where's this protection from the Heyman Witness Protection Program or whatever?
Excellent.
Well, I think what they meant is protecting from fighters from other promoters, not necessarily fighters within their own within the own stable.
No, I'm not referring to yours directly. I'm saying people on my channel and
okay, all right, because most of the protection we hear about is Sergey Kovalev and the Donna Stevenson protection and stuff, and so that I think that's when you get the whole somebody's being protected is when, if you go over to Al Heyman, you don't have to fight any of the promoters, or at least that was the perception. Hopefully with what just happened, that'll change.
Yeah, but it won't change though. But it won't.
Even if that's the case, who's top ranked? Manny Pacquiao could have fought Khan, which some people think Khan could beat Pacquiao at this stage of his career, and they kept it in-house and fought Bradley for a third time. You know what I'm saying? So
and that's a problem.
When you look at Heyman, so the Adonis Kovalev, who's to say Heyman is the one blocking it? Why can't it be main events? Why can't it be both of them? You know what I mean?
No. In reality, we know that more than likely it is. I was saying the perception. The perception was...
And the double standard perception. Right. And the double standard perception is what you should really call it, because just like Boxing Eagle said, we know that Top Rank have been doing this for years. We know that, Don King, Top Rank, Golden Boy... Promoters have been doing this for years, so it's odd when they just all of a sudden say, hey, that one guy over there by himself, I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to protect his fighters and this and that. And what's another thing, guys, if you pay attention, and these are little things that go under the radar. People don't pay attention to this stuff. But Miguel Vasquez, for example, Al Heyman, he signed Miguel Vasquez. Miguel Vasquez's first fight, Heyman put him up against a non-Al Heyman fighter, and it was against, Mickey Bay. And Vasquez lost to Mickey Bay. You know what I mean? So he put him in there. He put him in there with a guy who wasn't, an in-house fighter, and he lost to that guy. So what did Al Heyman have to gain by doing that? And now he's putting Dominic Wade in there with Golovkin. That's a lose for him unless Wade wins the fight.
Dante,
go ahead, man.
I had a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Who's Vasil Lomachenko with? What promoter?
Vasil is with Bob Arum.
Bob Arum.
In Top Rank.
Right? Top Rank.
Who's Gary Russell with?
Top Rank.
No,
Yeah,
no, my bad. Yeah, I failed the test. He's with Al Heyman. He's with Al Heyman.
Who's Gary Russell's only pro loss?
It's against Lomachenko.
Exactly. So Heyman put Gary Russell in there with the seasoned.
That's an excellent point. Excellent point.
Fighter, and Lomachenko dogged him.
Excellent point.
His career. So
Yeah.
again, I still don't see it.
So it's not even true.
After that, Pacquiao and Mayweather fought. So 2 myths has been dispelled right there. I want to see much more of them dispelled in 2016. I want to see Wilder, Viper, Botnick, I want to see, Gennady Golovkin, Jacobs. I want to see, all these great fights. Bud Crawford versus Broner. I would love to see these matchups. So hopefully they keep this trend of dispelling these myths that he's protecting his fighters. So I'm hoping this trend continues.
Hey, Eric.
Yeah, I agree with you, Eric. That would be lovely.
Eric, something else that we got, Eric and Ego, something else we got to think about is now that Golovkin is fighting against an Al Heyman fighter, Dominic Wade, doesn't this prove that he could have fought against Edeslani Lara all along? I mean, Eric, what do you think about that?
No, absolutely, definitely. Dominic Wade, I don't know what he's priced at. That's the one thing we have to figure out. I have no idea what he's taking this money at, what kind of money he's getting. The HBO exposure is nice, but of course you'd rather have the fat wallet. But so depending on the price, I don't know if Israel Lara would agree to the same price that Dominic Wade is. Mind you, I don't know what the price is, so I might be sounding foolish right now. But I really would love to know the price before I can make a real accurate assessment on if that fight is possible.
Yeah.
If Lara's going to take that fight, he's not fighting under 500,000. I know that. We know that for sure.
Yeah, but we can't really.
Is Wade making anywhere near there?
But we can't really speak on that because that hasn't really even been talked about. So that'd be really reaching to even talk about that, the money and everything when it comes to Lara. But go ahead, Ego.
The thing I was going to say is this is the craziest thing. Based on the style matchup, I would actually pick Triple G to probably beat Lara, probably maybe even stop him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But we still got to see it. That's my whole thing.
Yeah, regardless who we think is going to win.
Despite because I've been wrong before. You know what I mean? So I want to see it. And I talked to Troy King. We did an interview. Make sure you guys check that on the channel. The good thing about what he was saying is this: Dominic Wade, he has some amateur experience, but he hasn't fought on the pro level. He hasn't fought any names. Lara's been on HBO pay-per-view versus Canelo. Lara fought Paul Williams and got robbed. He's fought awkward guys like Carlos Molina. Lara fought Vanes Matarosen, who can crack. He's fought bigger venues and the bigger names and stuff like that. So that's why I'd give Golovkin more credit for beating a guy like Lara than a Dominic Wade who went the distance with Sam Solomon, who can be tricky, but he's still 41 years old coming off a knee injury.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Good point.
Absolutely. Let me shut my phone off over here. And let me ask you, Ego. Now let's go ahead and get into some new official news. Ward versus Barrera is finally official. It's going to be out there in Oakland. What is that? Is it May 12th? It's March 12th, right?
March 26th, the day after my birthday.
March 26th. Okay.
Are you coming out here?
I'm coming out there, man. So, yep, I'm going to be out there. Ego going to be out there. We're going to be covering it. So
I'm going to take you to some food spots out here.
Oh, for sure. We're going to definitely get that in for sure. And all the fans, man, come say what's up to your boy Ego, to your boy Dante. We get a lot of love from the Bay Area. Y'all already know Ego is already in the Bay Area. Huh? What's the...
Never mind. I'm just joking.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we're gonna be out there, man. That's gonna be a big event, man. That's gonna be a big event. Andre Ward, he fills up the arena when he's fighting out there. If you guys haven't seen some Boxing Eagles footage, he put up footage and showed the atmosphere. Talk about that atmosphere, Boxing Ego, how it was and how you expect it to be in this fight right here.
Yeah, I covered that fight as you mentioned, and it was electric. A lot of people. I was there. Troy King was there. Brian Jennings. Yeah, Michael B. Jordan, who played Creed. Luis Cuba Arias, who was with the Money Team, now a Rock Nation fighter. Miguel Cotto was in the building. I mean, it was star-studded. Steph Curry of the Warriors. And this was after the Warriors, I believe, had won the championship. So the energy was electric. It was a BET fight. Ward's fighting back on HBO now. And the atmosphere was just crazy. A lot of people. It was just a good time for the city. Like I said, the Warriors just won a championship, so the Oracle was packed. You had Colin Kaepernick was there from the Niners, the quarterback. You know, we looked horrible this year. But this, I think, is going to be probably crazier because the Warriors are still doing good, and it's a better fight in most people's eyes.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Purposes was at a catch weight, so not the full light heavy. This is two undefeated fighters at the full light heavyweight. It's just a better fight all around. And Sullivan Barrera, see this, and people always get mad. They say, "Oh, you're hating on Golovkin." I like Golovkin; he's a good fighter, but I also speak my mind. The thing with Golovkin that I've noticed, I want to see him in there with somebody where you look at all the attributes that they possess, and then you would say, "Hey, you know what? That guy could do something." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Power punchers he fought usually are shorter with shorter reaches, or they're tall but they have no power, like a Willie Monroe or a Sheeta. Ward is going in there. Ward is 6 feet tall because I'm taller than Ward and I stand next to him. He's 6 feet tall. Sullivan Barrera is 6'2". Sullivan Barrera might be younger. I'm not sure who's older, but he has an 81% knockout, and he's confident. He's going in there. He just made an interview where he said, "My goal is to knock Andre Ward out."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he's clearly not scared, and he comes from the Cuban background. So I expect a good fight, a hard fight, a tough fight. And if Ward gets past it, especially if he looks spectacular, we know what's in store. That's the appetizer, and we know the Sergey Kovalev. That'll just make it bigger. Kovalev already got past Pascal the second time. So if he gets past Barrera, Ward gets past Barrera, then we have something to look forward to. So I'm looking forward to a good event because people are going to be, it's all eyes because we know Kovalev could be next or in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So people are going to want to see how he looks with a similar puncher.
Yeah, and Ward has momentum right now. I mean, he just came off of the Creed movie that he did, which he had an excellent role in that movie. Now he's about to fight against an undefeated #1 contender. Like Ego just said, Cuban sensation, a guy with an amateur pedigree, a Cuban amateur pedigree, a guy who has the confidence of an undefeated fighter, doesn't know how to lose. He's talking a lot of shit. Matter of fact, Andre Ward just responded by saying, on March 26th, Barrera, he'll have an opportunity to back up the words that he's saying. So, I mean, it's getting heated. Barrera is not coming to lose. This is a serious fight. So, I mean, does Barrera have a chance? Do you see this as a 50-50 fight, 60-40 fight? Eric Morales, with people saying that Ward's inactivity will hurt him. What do you think about that?
I don't think it's necessarily going to hurt him. I mean, it's at his age now. What is he, 31 years of age? So you wonder if it could affect his ability, especially in the starting rounds, in the first few rounds. But I don't think it's necessarily going to hurt him. I think most people would perceive this fight to be they would favor Ward in this fight, I guess is what I would say, against Sullivan Barrera. I think it's going to be a tough fight. I wouldn't necessarily say 50-50. Obviously, I'm like most of the public. I think Ward's going to win without even really studying either guy too much. But Sullivan Barrera, I think I'll mention, is a big guy. He's range. I think he has a longer reach. It's an interesting matchup and definitely a very, I guess you could say, it's a risky. I think it's a risky fight for Ward considering the layoff. I think the last time he fought was June of last year, or when was it? July of last year?
Yes, June.
In June. So what is that? Almost a 9-month layoff.
Mm-hmm.
Same night as Broder Porter.
Yeah.
Broder's fought Alec Verdiev since, and Ward hasn't fought since that night.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to see. I think it's gonna. If he can win in spectacular fashion, it's definitely a statement. He definitely puts his name in there. I think it's already there with Adonis Stevenson and Kovalev. However, with a dominant victory, I don't think anybody can deny that Ward is and should be a title contender and should be fighting for the title next. So let's see how the fight goes. Right now, I would say I'm leaning heavily towards Ward, probably 65-35, if my math is correct. I don't know if that's right, but I would say something to that of that nature. But who knows? I might change when it comes to the fight. I'm going to really look at Sullivan-Barrera's matches. I saw the last fight he had. I believe it was against Carl Barat, or whatever that guy's name is.
Yeah.
Pretty good fight. I mean, he beat him. He beat him pretty convincingly. I think he's on a 6 or 7 fight stoppage streak. So Ward's going to have his hands full, but I think he'll find a way to win. He is the gold medal winner. I think he fought at this weight class, or similar to this weight class, when he won the gold medal. So I think he'll be comfortable at this weight, and I think he'll put on the show.
Yeah, and
see, I just want to add. I want to notate too. The good thing is, another thing that to me that's compelling is Ward is moving up to challenge himself.
Yeah.
Yes, he got a gold medal at light heavyweight in the amateurs, but that was over a decade ago.
Yeah,
Career-wise, he's been really fighting at super middleweight. So your body, we don't know how his body's going to react. It could be, you know what I mean? I've seen different people. I've seen people, like when Broner went up, I don't think his power looked the same as it did at 130, 135. So that's, when someone moves up, you never know how it's going to, like Khan going up to fight Canelo at 155. Maybe it makes him a bit stronger, and it makes it comfortably. Maybe his power is less effective. So that's what's compelling to me, is because you never know how someone's going to look in a brand new division, especially against a tough style like Barrera.
Absolutely. Yeah. Something else to note is a lot of people don't know this as well, but the only reason Andre Ward was fighting at 175 in the Olympics is because he didn't want to have to fight his friend Andre Durrell. Andre, he wanted both him and Andre Durrell, to go to the Olympics together. So he ended up moving up to 175 so he wouldn't have to fight against Durrell. So a lot of people don't know that, but that's the reason.
Insight.
Yeah. So that's the
I
reason.
didn't even know that about Ward.
Yeah. That's some of the stuff that the cats that were actually on the team and around, the team, they had actually told me about that. So that's why he did that.
Dante,
yeah.
Quick question: does Ward have the punching power at the higher weight class, obviously a light heavyweight, to hurt these bigger, stronger, or not necessarily stronger? I don't mean to say that, but bigger, definitely men. Can he hurt them? Does he have it, or is he going to have to rely strictly on boxing skill?
No doubt about it. I think he definitely has the power. Not only that, but I think power is very deceptive once again, man. It's very deceptive, because if it's a punch that you don't see, the impact is a lot harder. So if you got a guy like Andre Ward, and it's not like Manny Pacquiao where he moved up from 105 to 154, you're talking about 160, or really, you're talking about 168 to 175, because he campaigned at 168 pretty much his whole career. So we're only talking about one division north, really. You could argue two divisions, but yeah, I think he carries the power. Go ahead.
Okay.
Hey, Dante. I'm in the boxing gym right now in Oakland, and there's a pro fighter. His name is Aaron Coley. Make sure you guys check out for him. He sparred Ward within the last 2 months, so I'm going to just have him tell you guys some things about like what Ward does well.
Go ahead, throw him on.
All right, so this is Aaron Coley. So, Aaron, what does Ward do well from sparring with him?
Ward, he in position at all times. He's fast, and people don't respect him for his slickness and defense. He's not just there to be hit like people think he is. People just say he's a straight-up technical boxer, but at the end of the day, he's always in position and out of the way of strong punches. Like if you're trying to load up, he out of the way. You're trying to put punches together, he's blocking and slipping too. So he's just real elusive at the same time of being an offensive minded.
And Aaron just fought. He just fought 2 weeks ago or whatnot, and he got a little bit of an injury when he was fighting Andre Ward. Andre Ward dug to the body and bruised his rib a little bit. He was telling me.
Yeah, oh, nice. Okay. Hey, let me ask Aaron.
I'm gonna put the full interview up with him, but you guys could check it out. But make sure you follow Aaron Coley. He's out here working hard. He's in the gym. He's just lifting and getting ready. That
was cool, man. Good intake, man, from somebody. Good insight, I should say, from somebody who actually been in the ring with Andre Ward. You can't get a better perspective than that right there.
Oh yeah, and this is the other thing Aaron told me. This when we first started talking about sparring Ward. He says Ward is not a game in there. He's not there to. He's there to help you work, but he's not going to take it easy on you because he knows you or because you're friends outside. He said he's coming to work 3-minute rounds, period. And that's just what it is.
Yeah.
He's not going to you know what I mean, like give you.
He ain't gonna work with you.
Whatever.
Yeah. I've heard that.
He's coming to.
I've actually heard other fighters tell me that. They be like, Ward is a beast in there. He ain't going in there to work with you. He going in there to put hands on you. Yeah.
He can get frozen yogurts with you after or whatever, but when you're sparring, he's there to work.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is, man. So yeah, man, I can't wait to see this fight, man. So that once again, that's going to be March 26th out there in the Bay Area. Shouts out to all the fans out there.
One more question on that. We just talked about two big fights coming up: Golovkin-Wade against Golovkin and Ward-Barrera versus Andre Ward. Which one of the opponents has a better chance of beating the A-level fighter? Golovkin-Wade.
Ooh, that's a good. That is a real good question. Man, you know what? It's hard to say because with Wade, I mean, we really don't know who Wade is at all. At least Barrera, we kind of seen Barrera, around. We got to watch his fights. But with Wade, we don't know anything about him. So I would have to say that's a tough one because with Golovkin, he's fighting against an undefeated fighter. I believe Wade is taller than Golovkin. I believe Wade, he actually has natural power at the middleweight division. We have to figure out how Golovkin is going to deal with a guy who has middleweight power as well, a guy who also has the confidence of an undefeated fighter. So, but it's very difficult to say, Eric, because we don't know enough about Wade. So
absolutely,
I would have to say both of them have a good chance. I would say both of them, Wade and Barrera, they have a good chance to pull off the upset.
I disagree with that. I think the Ward-Barrera fight is much tougher. One, Ward's moving up in weight. G's fought at super middleweight since the amateurs, so we already know he has power at 168 or 160 or whatever, and he's fighting a guy with minimal pro level experience. Ward-Barrera has Gennady Golovkin's trainer, Abel Sanchez, good trainer. He's coming off of like a 5-6 win streak. He knocked out Cairo Murat, a guy who went the distance with Bernard Hopkins. He knocked him out in 5 rounds, I think it was. So, and Barrera is 6'2", 2 inches taller than Andre Ward. Plus, we already talked about, aside from moving up, Ward he hasn't fought since June. Triple G's fighting 2 times a year or whatever. So I think the Barrera fight is a much tougher fight. I think it's a better fight based on the pro level experience and where they're at. Barrera has an 81% knockout ratio. I'm not sure exactly Golovkin-Wade's trainer or his KO percentage, but I know he hasn't had any big names other than maybe Sam Solomon.
And let me just make this clear. I wasn't saying that I thought that Wade was a tougher opponent than Barrera. What I was basically criticizing was how Golovkin deals with adversity. There's no doubt about it. To me, Barrera is definitely the tougher opponent. But what I'm saying is we really don't know how good Golovkin is. So Golovkin can realistically go in there against a guy that he's supposed to blow away, who's supposed to be an easy opponent. And for all we know, that guy could go in there and just box circles around Golovkin and make him look silly. Kind of like what Willie Monroe did, a couple rounds. Willie Monroe, he was expected to go in there and die. He was expected to go in there and get murdered in the ring. Next thing you know, this guy with no power, he's fighting Golovkin toe-to-toe, and he's damn near winning rounds in the fight. So, so I wasn't saying that Wade is on the level of a Barrera. I'm just saying that, once again, there are still question marks when it comes to Gennady Golovkin, and we don't know how he's going to deal with this fighter because we don't know anything about Wade, and we don't know anything about how Golovkin deals with better competition, and we don't know if this is going to be better competition. So a lot of question marks, man, a lot of questions. But yeah, I just wanted to clear that up. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on, guys. If you guys want to touch on anything else, when it comes to that, go ahead and add on to it. I also wanted to talk about the fact that Sadam Ali and Jesse Vargas, they're going to be fighting, and they're going to be fighting for Tim Bradley's title. Tim Bradley, he gave up that title so he could fight against Manny Pacquiao a third time. So that's a Sadam Ali fight, man. To me, that's a toss-up fight. That's really a toss-up fight right there. I mean, Eric, what do you think about that fight?
I am actually a big fan of Sadam Ali. I believe he's the same heritage as Prince Nassim Ahmed. I think they're both Yemeni or Yemen citizens, or at least that's where their ethnic background. So I'm actually a fan of his, and not because of that, but because of his skills in the ring. I think he's a pretty good boxer. I actually favor him to beat Jesse Vargas in this fight. I think he's very under-heralded, and I think he deserves an opportunity. Hopefully, I don't necessarily agree with this title, with this matchup of Vargas and Ali being for the title, but if he wins it, I think it's due praise for him.
Yeah,
but great matchup. I think they're both solid fighters. I like Jesse Vargas. I don't mean to be harsh on him at all. You know, I love my Mexican brethren. But in his last couple of fights, he just, you know, I know he had that one knockdown against Bradley, but he just doesn't look like he's all together, like he's right now. Like he probably needs to take a few months away, and I know he's done that already, but and just rethink his whole career and try to figure out what kind of boxer is he, what kind of boxer does he want to be moving forward. So right now, I would definitely favor Sadam Ali in that fight.
I would have to pretty much agree with everything you said right there. You know, I would I like Jesse Vargas a lot, you know, and I like Sadam. I would have to slightly lean towards Sadam. He just seems more consistent to me. He seems like he's focused at least all 12 rounds, and that's the problem with a lot of fighters.
Skilled.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and that's the problem with a lot of these fighters. They're not focused for a whole 12 rounds. You know, so I think Sadam, he's going to be really focused. Hopefully Jesse Vargas, he's going to be focused as well, man. But let me ask you about this boxing, Ego. Some more news is that now Bob Arum is saying, and this is what I had believed all along. I told you I thought that Bob Arum, he always wanted Pacquiao to fight against Crawford. That's what I truly believe. He always wanted Pacquiao to fight against Crawford. Now all of a sudden, Bob Arum is saying if Pacquiao doesn't retire, you know, the next fight against Crawford would most likely be the fight for Pacquiao. He said that's a perfect fight for Manny Pacquiao. What do you think about that? Do you think that's going to happen? You think Pacquiao's going to say forget it and just, you know, either retire, or is he going to pull like, you know, almost a Mikey Garcia, try to pull out of the contract, you know, and try to get signed with someone else to avoid Crawford? What do you think, Ego?
That's subjective. I think we really just have to wait to see what plays out with the Timothy Bradley, because I think Bradley's a live dog.
Oh yeah, he is. I'm actually picking Bradley myself, man. I'm picking Bradley myself to pull off the upset.
Troy King is too. He picked him too. But yeah, if you've seen how Bradley was clearly winning in the second fight. I had him winning the first 6 rounds.
Yeah.
And then he gassed out, never from trying to punch Pacquiao out the ring or whatever, and he got tired or whatever the situation is. But I think Teddy Atlas, I'm not going to say he's super improved, but I think it's a newfound relationship. So I think Bradley wants to. Him and Joel Diaz seem like they might have been like too close for comfort since they worked together so long. So he maybe stopped respecting, because I remember watching Bradley fights, and Bradley would just he'd go rogue, like the Provodnikov fight. Joel Diaz was giving him the perfect advice of what to do. He's like, Timmy, what are you doing? And then Timmy was just doing whatever he wanted. So I think Teddy Atlas will have more of a restraint. So as back to the Pacquiao-Crawford, it's possible, but I mean, it really just depends what happened in the Bradley fight, because if Pacquiao doesn't look the same in the Bradley fight, no one's going to want to see a Crawford fight with Pacquiao. If Pacquiao does well, then people will want to see something like that. But, I mean, if Bradley goes in there and convincingly wins, then no one's going to really want to watch a Terrence Crawford fight. A younger, taller, slick fighter who's ambidextrous, no one's going to want to see that if Pacquiao doesn't impress versus Bradley.
Yeah, see, I have a problem. I'm just assuming. My guess is Manny Pacquiao, he will continue to fight. You know, I believe that Manny Pacquiao, regardless, win, lose, or draw, he will continue to fight unless he gets knocked the fuck out. You know, which after watching the Brandon Rios fight, anything is possible. But you know, unless he gets knocked out, I see Pacquiao probably fighting another 2 years at a minimum. So
yeah, and sometimes, just to add to your point, sometimes fighters, when they take certain losses, they go chasing, like they're already great fighter, like Roy Jones Jr., one of my favorite fighters of all time. Like he clearly probably should have, in my opinion, hung him up already, and he's been knocked out since, and he keeps fighting. It's like they're trying to redeem themselves, even though they don't have to. So even if Pacquiao were to get knocked out, or, you know what I mean, he might be chasing like redemption from the Mayweather victory. So you never really know, and it's hard to tell a fighter when to quit. I've seen so many fighters that I love and respected, and they, you know what I mean, it's bad seeing what happened. Like Eric Morales. Eric Morales is one of my childhood favorites or whatnot, and then seeing him get spun around by Danny Garcia. You know what I mean? It's like, damn.
You had to bring that one up. How do you go?
Huh?
You had to bring that one up, man. That one still makes me, that hurt.
That was a crazy, you know what I'm saying? It's just sad, so you never know. So I agree with you, Dante. Sometimes fighters don't know when to, like,
hang them up,
call it quits.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're gonna close out with just talking about that Anthony Joshua versus Charles Martin fight. Man, I'm really hoping that they make that fight. That's a big fight right there, and I don't even know for a fact if Anthony Joshua will win that fight. You know, I've been pretty high on Charles Martin for a while. You know, I've heard some mixed, you know, thoughts on what people think about Charles Martin, especially with his last fight ending premature over what was the guy's name again? What's the guy's
Glasgow?
name? Yeah, Glasgow, because you know, he fell down or whatever, messed up his ankle. But it looked like Charles Martin, he was starting to take control of the fight, and it looked like he was about to win the fight. You know, because of Charles Martin's boxing ability. And Anthony Joshua being somewhat of a flat-footed fighter, skilled fighter, but flat-footed fighter, that makes for a great fight. You know, so you brought this up earlier, Morales. What do you think about that fight? And once again, this would be Al Heyman working with Eddie Hearn. What do you think about that fight?
Interesting fight, because if you saw the Twitter wars, you see that it was actually the champion Charles Martin calling out Anthony Joshua. How many times do you see that happen?
I didn't know that. I didn't even know about that. Interesting.
Yeah, so I definitely love the fight. Charles Martin's an interesting fighter. When you looked at that last fight, you'd probably say, not garbage, but garbage fight. And I understand that the guy gets hurt and all that, but if you really look at his style, he's very, very. He looks good. He looks like
slick.
He has the tools. I couldn't say he pulled out the tools that fight against Glasgow, but it definitely looks like he has some tools in the bag. And I even think Peter Fury, the trainer of Tyson Fury, was impressed with him and made some tweets about him. So he looks like a very promising very promising fighter. Not unfortunately, but he got the title, so it's unfortunate to say he still needs to improve because he's already the champion. But I would love to see the fight. I would favor Anthony Joshua, but I think Charles Martin could make it very interesting. I think they're roughly about the same size. I think Joshua might have an inch on him, but it would be a very interesting fight, and it will let you know if Anthony Joshua can fight a guy with defensive skills.
Mm-hmm. And I know it's premature, Ego, but do you think that fight is going to come to fruition?
Yeah, Eddie Hearn says he wants it. And I think when I talked to Eddie Hearn, he was in the Bay. I think as the Ward fight, it sounded like he knows where Joshua's at. So I think he's willing to, if he can grab a title from a guy like Charles Martin, like Eric Morales said, who won in kind of a weird fashion versus Glasgow, wasn't the most entertaining or electrifying performance. You know what I mean? They might see it as an easy title grab, like, oh, you know what I mean, this guy, we could beat him, as opposed to going through a Tyson Fury, a Deontay Wilder, Luis King Kong Ortiz. They might, like I said, look at it as a. I think they would fight someone like Charles Martin because he still has a lot to prove on the world stage. You know what I mean? Versus Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, and King Kong Ortiz, which would probably be harder fights with they fought better competition.
Yeah,
especially with Ortiz stopping Brian Jennings last fight.
Mm-hmm. And that boy King Kong, that's the one everybody talking about. I'm hearing damn near casual fans talking about King Kong now. So yeah, he the one.
I got a quick. This is real random, but I just heard it. Bob Arum wants Triple G versus Gilberto Ramirez.
Yeah, Ramirez
is fighting Arthur Abram. They also said maybe Chavez Jr. versus Gilberto Ramirez. I think that's an interesting fight at 168. Chavez Jr. versus Ramirez.
Or even better, Golovkin versus Ramirez, because he's a 168 pounder, and we finally get to see how Golovkin deals with a natural 168 pounder. Matter of fact, Bob Arum, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I met Gilberto Ramirez. I'm like 6'5". He's 6'2".
Yeah,
huge. He's pretty big.
Yeah.
That's again the kind of thing I would want to see against Golovkin. Like him in there with someone who's like inches taller than him. aggressive style, throws a lot of punches.
And has that natural power at a higher weight class. So yeah, that's what it is, man. Hey, well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I want to say thanks once again to my panel, Boxing Ego, Eric Morales, you know your boy Dante's Boxing Nation. And I want to say once again, man, we will see you guys March 26th at the Ward versus Barrera fight. All right, so that's what it is, man. We'll see you guys next week. On to the next one. It's the Nation, baby.